Welcome to STEM Without Borders presentation. I'm very happy to have with me here today Hanne Finstad, the founder of the Scientist Factory. Do you want to just say or wave, Hanne, so everyone can see who you are? There's Hanne. Then we are also joined by Amalie, who represents one of the volunteer groups. There's Amalie. And Marley, speaking from the other group. So last year in November, Engineers Without Borders and the Scientist Factory, we had our first pilot project that we developed together and that we have given the name STEM Without Borders. We prepared and sent 7 volunteers to conduct teacher training at 2 schools in Kenya, with the aim to improve the quality of education in the STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering, and maths. And we are very happy to be able to today to present an evaluation of the pilot and to also hear directly from Amalie and Marley, who today are representing the 2 groups of volunteers visiting the schools. We will start with showing you a short movie that the Scientist Factory has put together. It's a brief introduction of the project, and you'll also meet all the 7 volunteers that participated in the movie. And apologies to English speakers that this is in Norwegian. Still nice pictures to see. There's also a few spelling mistakes that are being corrected before we release it and publish it on our webpage. Okay, here comes the movie.
Og da det litt random hvem dere velger. Og så skal vi etterpå.
Jeg heter Sigve Svendsen. Jeg er 28 år gammel og kommer fra Bærum utenfor Oslo. Jobber som lærer ved Kuben videregående skole. Og jeg meldte meg til dette prosjektet fordi jeg har en sterk interesse for realfag, og særlig naturfag. Veldig glad i å hjelpe andre til å utforske naturfagen og utforske gleden ved å lære noe nytt.
Hei, mitt navn er Mali. Jeg er utdannet innenfor IKT. Det som trigger meg til å søke er mest den der verdien av å kunne bidra til å sørge for at andre får utdanning også. Og spesielt innen realfag, som jeg tenker er ganske viktig, ikke bare innenfor ingeniørutdannelse, men også med tanke på det å liksom skulle utvikle kritisk tenkning og problemløsningsevner, som er også veldig relevant for andre yrker.
My name is Santiago. I'm originally from Ecuador and working out as a researcher in NGI, the Norwegian Geotechnical Institute. I chose to join STEM Without Borders because I think it's a great opportunity to just teach other children in many different places about how important is the science and the scientific background to understand not only the planet we are living, but to make a better place. And just the way we are doing is trying to learn as much as we can from the Forskningsfabrikken and also pass that knowledge.
Hei, jeg heter Amalie. Jeg er fra Fredrikstad. Er utdannet biolog. Jeg jobber i dag som miljørådgiver i Norconsult. Og gleder meg veldig til å være med på STEM Without Borders i Kenya. Jeg søkte på dette fordi jeg synes det er et veldig spennende prosjekt og muligheten til at andre skal kunne jobbe med realfag mer hands-on, synes jeg er veldig interessant og viktig at man får muligheten til det.
Navnet mitt er Stefan. Jeg jobber som assisterende rektor på en videregående skole, utdannet i astrofysikk. Og jeg har søkt å være med på det fordi jeg har lyst til å videreformidle fascinasjon for realfag og læring om verden. Jeg heter Ida. Til vanlig jobber jeg som lektor i realfag. Grunnen til at jeg har valgt å melde meg på STEM-prosjektet er fordi at jeg tror på kompetanseutveksling på tvers av landegrenser. Jeg tror at vi kan inspirere hverandre, både norske lærere og kenyanske lærere, til å skape en mer aktiv undervisning med eksperimenter, og vi dermed kan skape realfagsglede.
Jeg heter Frida, og jeg kommer fra Lillestrøm. Jeg er sivilingeniør innen transport og jobber med prosjektledelse i anleggsbransjen. Og jeg har søkt dette prosjektet fordi jeg ønsker å bruke min erfaring fra utdanning til at andre også skal få mulighet til å utdanne seg innen realfag.
Hei, Marianne fra Ingeniører uten grenser.
Og her er Hanne fra Forskerfabrikken, og vi har slått oss sammen for å lage et kjempespennende prosjekt.
STEM without borders. Naturfag er globalt, men samtidig så mangler ofte lærere i mange land verktøyene til å gjøre undervisningen levende og spennende for barna. Og det vil vi gjøre noe med gjennom dette prosjektet.
Ja, og vi i Forskerfabrikken har jo holdt på nå i mer enn 20 år, men nettopp å etablere metoder for å gjøre naturfag og realfag både forståelig og interessant og spennende.
Og i Ingeniører uten grenser så har vi et bredt nettverk av ingeniører og folk med sterk faglig bakgrunn. Vi er vant til å sende mennesker ut i felt. Så ved å slå sammen kreftene våre,
Ja, så tror jeg vi skal få til noe helt nytt. Vi får sendt ingeniører ut for å etterutdanne lærere i andre land.
Yes, that's a brief introduction to the project. And basically in Engineers Without Borders, we believe that technology and humanitarian engineering is the core of our modern world. And it's also vital to achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals of eradicating poverty, to fight inequality and to stop climate change. The majority of our projects are focused on delivering basic infrastructure, such as safe and clean water, providing clean energy, or waste management solutions. There's a big variety in our work, but what is always a common denominator is that we always work with local partners, and where and when through our network of qualified volunteers, we can make a difference and we can add value. The Scientist Factory is a social enterprise with the ambition to inspire everyone to love science to create a better future. Their method is to explore science with joy to inspire lifelong curiosity. And you'll hear a lot more about their pedagogy from Hanne a bit later on. I remember one cold and grey winter day during the pandemic about 2 years back. I was sitting at my kitchen table at home, or home office, as we used to call it, when I got a phone call from Hanne, who is the founder of the Scientist Factory. And based on courses that she had held for teachers in Nepal and South Africa, she had a dream. And she had an idea that by joining our forces, we could scale their pedagogy and train and conduct teacher training and exploratory science throughout the world. And I immediately liked the idea because no matter what country you're in, the school children or the learners, they have a similar curricula. They need to learn the same within the natural sciences, but often the tools for making education practical and fun and engaging is lacking. So simply put, in EVB, we have expertise in sending qualified volunteers on assignments, and the Scientist Factory is experts on teaching natural sciences. So a collaboration between the two of us was kind of a bit of an obvious match, I would say. Last autumn, we recruited 7 volunteers and planned for teacher training at the 2 schools in Kenya. Ekomoya Education Center, it's in Kilifi in Kenya. It's a long-time partner with Engineers Without Borders, and we have done several projects with them and know them well. 200 children get free schooling there. Mara Girl Girls Leadership School is situated in Mara, and for most of us, we sort of think about safari and tourism when we hear Mara. This is a very different setting as such. They focus specifically on girls and girls' potential. And thank you to the Mara School for also inviting teachers from 4 of the surrounding schools to participate in the teacher training, and to Strømmestiftelsen or Strømme Foundation for facilitating the contact. So the case is that the world, unfortunately, has a very long way to go before we can reach the Sustainable Development Goals. And we can discuss for days or even weeks what is the most important. But what is certain is that to solve pressing global issues, our society depends on science, technology, engineering, and maths, or the STEM subjects. And I think it's easy for us all to agree that education is essential for positive community development, and that we need scientific literate citizens to face all the challenges that the world is facing. And that's the background for our long-term goal for this project, to contribute to develop and inspire teachers, to engage children, and to improve education by making STEM education practical, fun, and engaging for everyone. And with that, I'd like to give the word to Hanna.
Yes, as Marianne, first of all, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for the support we have received. This has been a very fun journey, and we are very optimistic about the future. And as Marianne said, that we have our method is to explore science with joy to inspire lifelong curiosity. And here in this sentence, we have some very important keywords about our pedagogy. First of all, curiosity. All children are born very curious, but unfortunately, during schooling, many people lose their curiosity and they're eager to learn. And we have developed method in natural science to keep them interested and motivated. And that one important aspect here is to create positive feelings, positive emotions, joy and happiness when you learn and explore. So, and to achieve this, we try to always get the children's attention, and then we explore with many senses, and we build models and do things. We do not only read in books or talk. We use many different methods to explore. At the same time, we try to make sure that the teacher is guiding their student through their activity. It's not open, a free exploration, because that's too challenging for most students. So that's the basic about our method. And here in Norway, we are having summer schools for children, and we also do teacher training in kindergartens and schools. And we also, as Marianne mentioned, I have also been doing teacher training in Nepal and South Africa. And this summer we are also actually expanding our summer school to Stockholm in Sweden. So that's where we are at the moment. So this is a little bit about our pedagogy and what we're doing. So I don't know if we should move on, Marianne, or yes. This is a question we asked before we started this project. First of all, can the pedagogy here in the Scientist Factory, or Forskerfabrikken, as we call it in Norwegian, and Engineers Without Borders, can the experience they have with sending volunteers, can this be combined to create teacher training in other countries? And we also wondered how important it is that the trainers previously have worked with activity-based teaching with STEM subjects. In the group we sent this year, if I remember correctly, at least 3 of the volunteers had previously worked in our summer school here in Norway. So I knew them beforehand. 4, yes. 4, yeah. And we also wanted if the activities we have developed, if they were, and our pedagogy, how that would be received in Kenya, and would it be relevant? And we would like to find out if the volunteers felt prepared enough before leaving, because we had a weekend workshop and then they had written material to support them. And we also wondered to what degree the schools need equipment, and how should this training program be conducted in terms of duration and schedule. And when I went to South Africa and Nepal, I only had 1 or 2 days, and that I realized was too short. So this time we increased it to 1 week. So that's what we decided to test this time. Yeah.
So quite a few questions in advance, and we gathered and evaluated quite a lot of feedback. And the way we set the project up with the preparatory workshop for the volunteers before as preparation in Oslo, overall it worked very well. The execution at the school, where there was first 1 day of teacher training or workshop with the teachers, followed by the week, where the teachers were leading the sessions with the students and the volunteers were there to support. It seemed to be a good format. What's also clear is that there was a lot of responsibility for the execution at the schools that were placed on the volunteers. They were given the tools, or a toolbox in advance, but they really had to be flexible and adapted when they were out conducting the trainings. And I would really like to highlight the positive engagement and the good relations that were established at the schools. And I'd also like to say that I'm really impressed with the volunteers and how they took ownership from the beginning and stayed flexible and adapted and developed in meetings with the schools. I'm not sure if Dominique or Moulin is managed to get on the line. That's the head teachers at Ekomoyo and Mara. In case it would, if you're here, please raise your hand if you'd like to chip in from your viewpoint. Otherwise, Hanne, would you like to sum up experience from the teachers?
Yes, this is a comprised version of what they said, but they were all very positive, and they said that they learned to apply creativity when teaching and to incorporate activities, to include experiments, and to socialize with the kids. And I especially made note of one sentence, and we experiments good teaching, how it feels, sounds, and looks. And this is at the core of our pedagogy. And this is actually proven by new neuroscience that this is how learning begins and motivation starts to develop. It's the good feeling of it all, emotions is very important. And at Mara School, will any teachers be here from Mara School, Marianne, or?
Moulin was supposed to come, but I'm not sure network-wise if it actually worked.
Okay, well, but they said to our great pleasure that the content was relevant in respect to curricula, and it have been inspired to teach. They have been inspired to teach more practical and involve the learners more in the future. But we should have even more time together. Come back once a year and come to all school in this area and donate equipment to all schools, not just Mara. Because this time we were just planning really for Mara, but they invited their local schools nearby, and that was great. But we didn't have equipment for all schools at this point.
So I think all in all, as a brief summary, that we have proven that we can collaborate on trainer teachers teacher training. Obviously, there's lots of learnings when you do a pilot project, and it would be easier to plan it the next time with what we now have learned. For the future, one important key takeaway is that we do need to continue including experienced natural science teachers in each group, and that are also familiar with the scientist factory pedagogy. That's a really good strength. The teachers experienced the training as relevant. As always, there is room for improvement. There is no question that a better dialogue with the schools in advance would have been an advantage. The better you can align expectations, the more dialogue you can have, the better we can also be able to adapt the content to their syllabus. The equipment donated from the scientist factory was generally well received. We should also improve on establishing what can be purchased locally. And we will work on that for the next round. It's a really good feedback that the training should be repetitive, and also look at how we can include digital tools. I mean, there are some obvious limitations in terms of network, for instance, but it's really good feedback that we gathered and things that can be taken when planning the next round, hopefully. So that was maybe not that brief summary from our side, but let's now hear from the volunteers who are actually on the ground. So with that, I would like to give the word to Amalie first, in chronological order, since she represents the groups that traveled first to the Mara school.
Thank you, Marianne and Hanne. Yeah, okay. Hi.
In control.
I'm in control.
Yes.
As Marianne said, I'm Amalia, and I went to Mara with, as you can see on the picture, Santiago and Ida. We had our base in a town called Talek in the middle of Mara. And our base was at Mara Girls Leadership School, which is a school for girls in the age of 10 to 14 years old, which is a vulnerable age in this area. And the girls live at school, and they are the school is sponsored or funded by Basecamp Foundation and Strømmestiftelsen in full. So the girls live there when they go to school. And their aim is that 100% of the girls get scholarships to go to high school and are able to do that as well. And as Marianne said, we also had visits to 4 other schools in the area, and the teachers from these schools also joined us for our sessions, which was very good and a good thing to visit these other schools as well. And throughout this week, we saw that there was an increase in both curiosity and also in participation in the experiments, both in the learners or the kids as well as the teachers. So being that we had a week, we were able to see this transition being more, participate more in the experiments and being seeing the joy that science can bring. So even though we come from very different cultures, we see that we all share the same joy and wonder of this scientific phenomenon and science in general. So that was very good to see. Yeah. Oh, that didn't work. There. So how we did it was that we had an all-day session with the teachers first. So that was before our official week started. That was very beneficial to have that an all-day session with them, and both to get to know each other and talk a little bit about the aims for the week, and also go through a lot of the experiments and starting to get into this idea of using experiments, because this is not really what they do in their everyday teaching prior to these sessions. So that was a very good thing to have. And that was followed by small sessions each day throughout the week with the teachers. And that was followed by a session with the learners. So with the session with the learners, the teachers were supposed to conduct the experiments, and we were there to be more of a help to them, which was also very good, I think. And as I said, we also got a visit to all the other schools where we conducted some experiments and created some joy, I guess, for the science. Yeah. And the thing about having a whole week, I think that was good. As Hanne said previously, she's only had a weekend, and that would have been, I think, too short here as well, because when we had this week, we were able to prepare before each session, and we could have an evaluation after and talk to the teachers about how every experiments fit into their curriculum and how we can change it up so that it fits better to what equipment they have available, and we can be more flexible in what we teach them. So that was very, very good to have that, and also get to know each other on a level that they were comfortable with talking to us about this. Yeah, so we had a plan when we came down, and that was not the same that was executed. We switched it up a bit throughout the week, which was good. And in the pictures here, you can see some of our sessions. Yeah. Yeah. And we also got to go, since we were living in the Mara, which is, as Marianne said, known for safaris. We were so lucky to go on a safari one day with Molin, who is the head teacher at Mara Girls. So we got to see some of the animals that you can hear at night when you're sleeping there. And I want to thank everyone that we encountered for their hospitality. They were very friendly to us, and also to Molin and teachers at Mara Girls, and also the other teachers for being such a big part of a great experience. And yeah, also to Engineers Without Borders and Scientists Factory for facilitating it. It was, I think it was beneficial for both us, the volunteers, but also for the teachers, and I hope hopefully they use what they've learned in these sessions, and I think they will. Yeah, so it's a very good project, and here you can see all of the teachers as well as us at the end of the day, last day. So with that, I think I'll leave it to you, Marley.
All right.
Talk about
Thank you.
Ecomoyo.
Yeah. Thank you, Amalia. So, hello everyone. I'm here to share our experience from Ecomoyo on behalf of my team, who is Frida, Sigve, Stefan, and me, Mali. And one thing to say about us is that the thing that is common is that we've all been through the STEM project through our education, but today we do quite different things in terms of work. So the first time we actually met, it was on a 2 days workshop at Forskerfabrikken held by Hanne, and through those 2 days, Hanne and also Ingeniører Uten Grenser really prepared us. We understood more of the philosophy behind behind Forskerfabrikken, and also got to know the experience and the experiments and experience them. So yeah, so we work in terms of the experiments really well prepared. We also got to use those 2 days to plan our week in Kenya at Ecomoyo Education Center. We didn't know so much before we went down there. The only thing we got was like this timetable. We knew that we would have a full day workshop with the teachers on Saturday, and that we probably would have activity each day from 8 to 12, from Monday to Friday, but the rest was really open. So we were like, okay, that's what we have to work with. So we decided already during the workshop that we will not make any detailed agenda, because we really want the teachers to take local ownership, and that our task is to empower and make them confident in using the experiment as part of their teaching. So So with guidance, we also learned how we could make sure the teachers kind of experienced the experiments the way we did during those 2 days. And then came November, the day when we went to Ecomoyo Education Center. It's a school that is 2 hours from the biggest city in South of Kenya, Mombasa, and it's based in a really like rural area, so that the people around the school is they suffer from poverty, and the parents probably don't have the same type of education as the children that are going to this school get. In total, there are around 240 students. And and I forgot to tell you that it's charity-based private primary school, so it's from first to sixth grades. And here you can see the entrance and also the school area. It's really surrounded by green and beautiful forest. And then down, you see where we lived. We lived at the school, and also got to play with the kids that were in the school, which was really nice experience to go through. Another thing to say about Ekomoyo Education Center is that we felt really taken care of. It was so much warmth from day one, both from the teachers, from the management, from the children. So they had like this natural curiosity and a way of being that really smeared over on us. So we came on a Friday. On Saturday were our first workshop day. We used some time to plan it, and we had like, other than like the two ambition of creating local ownership, we did have a goal of creating the program for the 5 days together with the teachers, sorry, not the students, during those hours that we had with them on Saturday. And also we wanted to create a connection and understand where they came from. So we also introduced an experience that was recommended by our science teacher, Sigve, which was around how does like good learning look, sound, and feel like. And here you can see the outcome. One thing that we noticed from the exercise itself is that many of the words would be, of course, used in, for instance, Norway as well, but they emphasized, a lot of them in group work emphasized music. So music was really a part of how they motivated themselves, and we could also hear that they were much better than us in singing. And yeah, at the right, you can see the timetable that we made together with the teachers. We also so every day it was more or less a stand-up that the four of us had to plan the day. And then we had 1 hour together with the teachers to prepare them for the experiments that they were going to demonstrate themselves in front of their students. And while they were doing that, we also had some experiments and set up some science lab for the children who could not attend the sessions themselves. Yeah, here you see the picture, 7:30 stand up, and then Sigve in action, coaching the teachers, and the teachers themselves trying to, give the training. And after each training, we try to have some sessions with the teachers to understand how it was, give them some feedback and receive feedback so that we can always improve how we did it. One thing that was quite interesting was to see how the conditions in Ekomoyo affected our experiments. Because when we were doing the experiments in Norway, it was, of course, behind 4 closed walls. but in Ekomoyo, there are only 2 walls. So it was there was a lot of, we had to think about wind, we had to think about air, humidity, and also think about like the water in Norway is neutral, but there it's basis. So we did a lot of adjustment based on what we learned about the conditions on Ekomoyo. And of course, during the evenings, what we did was hang out with the kids. And it was funny. They always asked us 2 questions. One was, what is your talent? And what is your favorite food? So that's how we connected with the kids. And it was also amazing to see like the football ground, to see that, the teachers, the students, no matter if they were 4th graders, 1st grader, they all played together. And on Sunday, the founder of Ekomoyo Education Center, she invited us to Cliffy so that we got to see a more city side of Kenya. And also before we went down, and also when we were there, some told us that we would never see elephant because no one had seen elephants in Ekomoyo. But at the last day, I think, Stefan kind of forced us to join him on his morning walk. And we didn't just see one, but we saw 3 elephants. So that's the picture on the right side there. No, left side, sorry. Another thing that was really interesting, we thought before we went down that it would be a good idea to have like evaluation papers and make the teachers fill out after every day. But after 2 days, we figured it actually didn't give so much value because they were so polite and they just, they just gave positive comments back. So we didn't learn so much through those evaluation papers. But what we did, we tried to have a retrospective at the last day together with them. So we were equals, and our job was to kind of evaluate the pilot together to see what was good, what should be dropped, what needs to be improved. And here at the right side, you can see the summary of what the teachers and also we together discussed. So it was kind of a very nice experience to sit there and talk about the pilot and what we've been through together with the teachers at the end. So yeah, this is us, the teachers, plus us, and it was quite nice to work with the teachers and see their curiosity also kind of grow. And as one of the teachers commented on what did we learn, it was he learned to apply creativity. They learned to include experiments and also socialize with the kids. So it was really nice feedbacks to get back from Ekomoyo Education Center. So then I think I can leave the floor or give the microphone back to you, Marianne.
Thank you, Marley, and thank you, Amalie. So the rest of the groups are here. Ida, Santiago, Sigve, Frida, Stefan. Do you have additional things you'd like to add? Then yeah, just please do.
Hi everyone, it's Santiago speaking. Hope you can see me. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, great. No, I actually just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone. Obviously, Forskning Fredrik and Ingenuity Grants, and more than anything, all the teachers that we get to learn. It was a fantastic experience. It was extremely
helpful to understand that the necessities in other countries are completely different, and that we can, come up with these nice experimentations and this nice way of showing how science can be applied, playfully learn, and that was incredible. So thank you very much to everyone to facilitating this program, and hopefully that it can be repeated, and we can try to find more ambassadors for making this a bigger project.
Thank you, Santiago. Robert, I see your hand is raised.
Yes, thank you very much for this presentation. It's quite interesting. And I think it really adds value to learning process. But I just needed some clarification, because this is the first time I'm hearing about this, and I just wanted to know one or two things. One is I hope this syllabus curriculum mode of teaching is complementary to the formal education syllabus in the countries where this is being piloted, or is already something being done already? That's one I wanted to check. Secondly, I wanted to find out this team, STEM team from Norway, I suppose. Are they the ones who are directly teaching the children, or they're engaging with the teachers who then pass on the methodology and the skills to the pupils or to the students, for that matter? So I just needed clarity on those 2 points. Thank you very much. But it's quite very interesting, and I think it will really add value, especially coming from the practical side of things, because I know, speaking for South Sudan, the situation here is awful, because you have a pupil student who goes from primary to secondary school who may not even know any equipment that you are referring to, So it's all theory, even up to university. Yeah, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. Hanne, do you want to talk about the syllabus, curricula, and have you prepared first? Take the first question. I think you're on mute, Hanne, so you need to unmute.
Yes, I got some input from both schools before we sent the volunteers down and planned the teacher training about what they wanted help on. I also studied the curricula, the Kenyan curricula for different age groups very carefully, and selected the 2-3 areas that I thought were relevant. However, if we repeat this project, we wish to have a more close dialogue with the schools than we had. And from what I can understand from the evaluations, at least maybe 60% of the content was very relevant, and the rest was partly relevant. So, and we got some surprises. For example, teachers at the Moyo school, they were very, very interested in gases. That was very central to them. So it was a very we learned a lot about this. And this second question, our volunteers were training the teachers, and then they were assisting the teacher training their students. So, and that's a very big progress from myself went. I only trained teachers. So then they had an experience to first be trained themselves, and then to practice it immediately afterwards.
Thank you, Hanne. Frida, your hand was up first, I think.
Hi, I'm Frida. I was at the Ekomoyo, and I just wanted to add that our teachers gave us the feedback that because there was a change in the Kenyan curriculum for science subjects some years ago, and they were kind of transferring from more theoretical to a more practical way of teaching, and the teachers are not trained how to do practical teaching. So they had the new curriculum, and they said, yes, I can see that this is what I'm supposed to do, but I really don't know how to do it because I have never experienced this myself. So they were very happy that we came and like show them how we can make science a more practical way, and inspire them. And that was kind of our main goal as well, to kind of just inspire them and show how you can do it and how you can use your creativity to make science more interesting. And I just wanted to add also, we got a feedback from one of the special needs teachers that she said that she hated science before this project, and then after the project she said that science was one of her favorite subjects now, and that's one of the teachers, and that's a really good feedback for us and the project as a total.
Thank you, Frida. Now, Ida.
Thank you. And firstly, thank you for the presentation. It's a really interesting pilot you have done. I'm sitting with Engineers Without Borders Denmark, and we are also looking into a project where we are doing STEM with a girls' school. So this is perfect to hear some of your learnings. It's a little bit of a follow-up from Robert. So how involved were the teachers in the planning before you went there, in all the workshops you did before and before going to Kenya?
I guess I should answer that because I was having that dialogue, and I had one meeting with Mara School, and I also were sent some information. But and I received the curricula for 4th grade from Ekomoyo School, and I also found the rest of the curricula online. But we certainly would like to have more dialogue in the future. I don't think it was sufficient. I think the content could have been even better prepared with a better dialogue. However, one feedback I got from one of the volunteers is that now they know what this is all about. They didn't really understand who were coming, what are they doing? And I mean, they were just in the middle of ending the terms, having exams, and they were like, why should we do this? But when we left, they were very enthusiastic. So I think it will be much more easier next time to get them to get a dialogue on forehand and to plan better.
Definitely, and it's also a bit when you know each other, it's also a bit easier to have that dialogue. It would be a lot easier going back to the same school, knowing now and having the experience, and also parts due to unforeseen circumstances with a change of head teacher, etc., etc. We started the dialogue with one, and then that person left and was replaced by another one. So yeah, multiple reasons. But definitely key for a good execution, and the more, the better.
But I would like to add one thing. When I'm looking at the Kenyan curricula, of course, there are some parts that are very special for Kenya, but most of it is really global. That's a cool thing about natural science. It's really global subject. So I could teach the same in Nepal as in South Africa. So to many, but of course, it has to be focused on the curricula, but still it's very much you can transfer.
Thank you. Amalie, you raised your hand?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I think one of the strengths that we had when we were down there was that we had a lot of different experiments that we could perform or do, and then we could change it up throughout the week as we talked to the teachers of what they wanted to use in their lectures later. So that was one of our strengths. I think that we could change it up throughout the week, and we learned more about what they needed as well. Yeah.
Is there any other questions or comments? Then now's the time. Frida.
Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize what Marley said about like adjusting. because in the classrooms we went to, as she said, there are only 2 walls, and so there's kind of a wind in there. And also there's one specific experiment that we did, that we test the water with pH paper. So because we're simulating a disease spreading, so we had to test the water with pH paper, and then all our students got the disease in this project, which was really weird because we only had acid in. No, did we use acid? Yeah, I think we used the base on one of them, so everyone got the disease. So we had to test the water that we used there, and it was based. All the water was a base, so we couldn't use that as the disease. We needed to use the acid, so we needed to switch up our experiments all the time. And I think we spent 2,000 matches trying to light candles during this week because it didn't want to light up, because the matches were bad and it was so humid and it was very windy. So we needed to adjust a lot of things during the project. So that is kind of a thing to keep in mind, that you need to be adaptable to the local conditions in the schools. Even though the project should work, it doesn't necessarily always do. So just keep that in mind when we do this project all over the world.
Thanks, Frida. Marley?
Yeah, I just wanted to answer to David Bysted's question about could you put a few words on like what are the information we wanted to have beforehand? I think just generally know how the timetable is set up. That was, for instance, a shock to us. Like in Norway, we are quite used to having 45 minutes of class and then breaks, but in Ekomoyo it's like 30 minutes. So, and also, for instance, they didn't have a relation with the word vinegar. They didn't know what it was. So to learn that lemon was something that was more common and something that is better for them to use. Those kind of things we learned like when we were there, and which we maybe could have learned before. But however, I also think that for them, a lot of these small information are just natural. It's how things work. So even if we try to get as much information as possible in advance, I think there's always some surprises when you go down. That, as Frida mentioned, adaptability and being able to change as you learn more things, that's probably the best way to go forward.
Yeah, thanks, Marley. And I can just add that, I mean, we did get the feedback that the content was relevant. With better dialogue, it could also have been even more relevant. And the 2 schools were quite different and different age groups. So we could have kind of had more focus on adapting a bit more to the different contexts, possibly in advance. Francisco, did you give up, or is your hand still up? It was raised.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to praise this work. I mean, it is fantastic. Children are the future of our humanity, and we need engineers and scientists in the future. So what best to start with them? And as Hannah said, it's global. I studied physics in Mexico, and it's the same physics I have applied here in Norway. I have applied in Africa. I have applied in Britain. It's the same everywhere. Yeah, it varies with the context, and it has to be adjusted for teaching, as you guys have properly described it, but it's the same. So that enables us to be able to travel. So fantastic work. I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you, Francisco. On behalf of everyone, I'll say thank you. Ida, did you
in the project? Yeah, I was just a bit curious. Now it seems like it was a great success. Are you going to do a phase 2, or is this something you're going to replicate and scale, or what's the next step?
Rapid reaction time in the group.
I'm just trying to Is there someone not on mute?
Yeah, all of them. I fully understand that. But then if
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, we will apply for a phase 2, yes. So we will do that next week, actually.
Yes, definitely an aim to continue STEM without borders. And timing-wise, we are also thinking it's and got the feedback that the beginning of the year is a better timing than because the school year ends in December. So just before sort of finishing exams is not maybe the most perfect timing. Better at the beginning of a school year. So that's definitely our aim. Francisco?
Yeah,
you may get the last word.
No, not the last word, but just a little comment. Many of the challenges that were mentioned here now, it is just first time challenge. Because if you repeat it now, you know that you have to take into consideration the wind, that you use lemon or not oranges, etc. So it will be a far much better result the second time. And that will be like in anything we do in life. I mean, the first time requires some guesses, and then the second time it will be a much better result. So it is normal, I will say that. Just a little observation that that the effort was well done, in my opinion, from help, even for being the first time. And with that experience, the next times will always be better. That's just an observation.
Definitely. Marley, I see there was a follow-up question from David. Do you see it in the chat? It says, thanks for a comprehensive response, Marley. On the topic of engaging with the teachers, what did you find were the most successful and important aspects of involving and training them? Or methods and considerations?
Oh, that's a good question. And I think both people from the Mara and my team from Ekomoyo can answer that. I think, just meeting them with being humble about, your role in the project, and also understand that they have a lot that you also can learn from, and meet them with respect. That I felt really helped with our engagement with the teachers. And also, it's something about the culture in Ekomoyo in general. It's really warm. They are curious. So it was very easy to interact and get to know them on a more personal level than just keep things professional. So I think most of us also spend a lot of time to open up about ourselves to the teachers, and they did the same. So the communication and the relation got better by day.
I think the first workshop kind of made our experience because rather than spending those 6 hours on just showing all the experiments, we spent 2-3 hours on talking about what is good learning. What does it sound like? What does it feel like? What does it look like? And try to kind of make the brain work and set the brain to kind of think in that direction, rather than just, okay, how can we do this in the fastest, most in the best way. We spent a lot of time on kind of changing the ideology, kind of. I don't know, Sigve, if you want to elaborate on the good learning workshop, because I think that was our strength.
Yeah, thank you, Frida. I fully support your statements there. I feel like the first session was very crucial for us to get to know the teachers, and also get to know how they approach their teaching, because as with natural sciences, the subject teaching is also very universal, very global phenomenon, and I feel like teachers approach teaching sort of the same way. They approach the students the same way, and to hear their perspective on how they do this and how to engage with the children in the best way locally in that school was very, very. We learned a lot from that session, and I feel like that made the foundation for the rest of the week and for the rest of the workshops. So that was a nice session, I feel like.
Thanks, Amalie. You get the last word.
Yeah, I can. Oh, okay. I just want to say that in Mara, I think it was easiest to engage the teachers, and it was more not difficult, but for some teachers it was a bigger hurdle to do the same with the kids that we did with the teachers, if that makes sense. So the teachers were more easily to engage in this project, but to them to actually do it with the learners or the kids, what's the bigger hurdle, I guess, to get over. And that was also different from teacher to teacher. And yeah, and also the fact that they teach that different schools, I think, also played a role here. They had a bit different framgangsmåte, way to do things at the different schools.
Thanks. We need to wrap it up. It's 4 o'clock. Thank you to everyone participating. We will post this online on our webpage, so it's entirely possible to, and we can also share the slides. Just drop us an email if you want the PDF version. Thank you again to our fantastic volunteers, Amalie, Marley, Ida, Santiago, Sigve, Frida, og Stefan. You've really done an amazing job. Thank you to Mara Girl Leadership School and Echo Moyo for fantastic participation. It's really been a privilege to work with all of you.
Yeah. Because otherwise you have a
Thank you.
100% wrong.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.